30 DM. I have a tattoo on my arm that says "Make your own luck." I literally made my own luck there. People used to be like, "Oh my God, you're so lucky. You work for Dave." Blah blah blah. They didn't see the thousands of DMs that I sent to entrepreneurs every single day.
All right, guys, this is a fun episode today. Welcome back to Mic'd for Success, where we got two very successful entrepreneurs on both sides of entrepreneurship and business and real estate. And I'm super excited. One I actually worked with back in the day, about a year ago, which is super cool. And welcome back to another episode of Mic'd for Success, where stuff is going to get real and interesting, and you're going to learn about the dogs barking.
We're going to learn about dogs barking?
We're going to learn about dogs barking.
Well, not dogs barking, but yeah, basically, we're going to get insight on the industries that these two guys are amazing at. And before we start, let's do with our sponsor, MyWhistleBox. Talk about our sponsor, MyWhistleBox. MyWhistleBox is a doubly encrypted service that allows you to keep your private information safe and exchange information securely between parties. MyWhistleBox offers you e-signatures, privacy, notes, whistle pages, a ton of other cool features, and a better alternative than email. So if you're using email to send or receive private information, stop and start using MyWhistleBox. Sign up today to get started with your free account. No payment required. There's no reason to not start today. Happy whistling. Boom.
Boom.
The same sponsorship we do every time, which it'd mean a lot if you guys check it out. I really think everyone would like it. But if you haven't done so already, hit the like and subscribe button on if it's Instagram or YouTube. We are full podcast is on YouTube now, which is pretty cool. Really annoying for me to edit on my end. Takes hours, so you better watch it. It's very cool. But the last two episodes, you have Max Heidegger, a professional basketball player overseas. You have Eric, who is a professional boxer that will be boxing in Vegas coming soon. So go check out Eric out. And now we got two entrepreneurs that are groomed by some of the best in the industry on both sides. And how about you take away? Well, introduce your guys' self.
Beautiful.
Beautiful. Well, thank you for having us, man. It's great to be out here and with you again. Like Michael said, we used to work together, and that's kind of how we met, through David Meltzer and everything like that. But I guess I'll start a little bit of, my story starts from, out of the Inland Empire. We were both, kind of born and raised out of there, and grew up there all throughout high school. Really wasn't anything special. Like, I never really had anything that I was really good at, or I never was great in sports or anything like that. I know both of you guys are baseball guys, but, it came from, I was kind of that kid that never really knew what he wanted to do. And then eventually, throughout, 12 different jobs, 10 different kind of businesses I tried to start. Eventually, I got into entrepreneurship through my social media marketing business, and it was the first company I started in 2018. After a year of doing that, I gained some traction in the LA industry with, some big entrepreneurs, entertainers, and influencers out there. So after that, I ended up then landing a job, which we said with David Meltzer, which is a top 100 business coach. The guy has movies made after he used to be CEO of Samsung for some time, like global speaker, author, like all this stuff, right? He wears like 20 different hats, but that's kind of like you said, how we met. I was doing all the digital branding, digital marketing for him for some time, and then after a year of doing that and being personally mentored by him, I then jumped back into entrepreneurship, partnering with Ed Mylett and the Millionaire group, and now building a financial firm outside of the Inland Empire. So that's my kind of 4 or 5 year entrepreneurial journey in a nutshell.
And speaking of a mess up, I totally did not introduce your guys' name. So how about you guys tell the audience who you are, what your name is, and because they don't know who you guys are.
maybe we'll start there. I'm Andrew Zalez.
My name is Jacob Valdellon.
And yeah, so
and they are the duo.
we are the hosts of Raw Talks, which you guys will learn a little bit. But I'll go ahead and let Jacob kind of tell a little bit of his story.
So I grew up also in the Inland Empire. I grew up in Chino Hills, born and raised middle class family. Dad's underwriter mortgages, mom's a nurse. I grew up playing baseball from the time I was 2 years old all the way till I was about 17 years old. I played all the way in Chino Hills High School, when that year I got cut. I went on a self-help journey, wanting to figure out what I wanted to do when I got cut. I lost my identity. I had a chip on my shoulder that I wanted to become somebody, and it was either a doctor or failure. My mom did all my college apps, and she said, you're going to become a doctor since you're not playing baseball anymore, and I want you to become successful. And along that journey, I went to Cal State San Bernardino, dropped out my first year, went to the junior college or community college, Mount Sac, dropped out after 2 semesters after that. And I went on a journey from the time I was 19 up until now 25. And those past 6 years, we'll talk about moving forward, but it's been a whole whirlwind of experiences that I've been through. And there's peaks and valleys of success and failures along the way.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, so I grew up middle class, baseball player, turned entrepreneur. And that's kind of where I came from.
That is, and I think there's a ton of people from your guys' area. There's a ton of people that live in the Rancho Cucamonga and Chino Hills area.
Yeah.
It's pretty awesome. But what about your guys' friendship? Jacob and Andrew, you guys now have a podcast with each other.
Yeah.
You've learned a lot from each other. But what about the past? Where did it all start? Where did everything start from day one?
It started back in the days where kind of we had mutual friends that really it was around of like a party scene between like the IE people, and it was just we had mutual friends that we would always see each other. We went on a river trip together once or twice, but I mean we really never got close. Really, it wasn't until last year, actually August 1st, which is coming up pretty close, is when we actually sat down and had lunch together. He reached out because he saw when I was working with David, he thought it was really cool. He really loved David's message. And so he was like, yeah, let's meet up. We rescheduled like 3 times, but eventually like we got it in and we went and we had lunch and we ended up talking for like 4 hours. Like the place legit like closed. We had to jump over a fence because they just left us outside and they just kind of locked up everything. I don't even know why. But anyways, we talked for like 4 full hours of just like catching up and talking about everything that we're learning
entrepreneurship, performance,
personal development. Like we just went totally on a tangent of just totally. And after that, it kind of just, we then became more so like accountability partners.
Yeah.
So, if you want to talk on that a little bit.
Yeah. So accountability partners, we started doing Sunday accountability. And I was really jumping into entrepreneurship. What Andrew's doing currently is what I was doing prior to real estate. And I was actually learning everything through him with what Dave was teaching. And I went out and had some of my best months, like hitting my best months in August, September. And then I made my transition into real estate October. And during that time, he and I were like, dude, let's start a podcast. Let's do this. Let's do that. And, you know, long story short, here we are on another person's podcast. So we now currently are host of Raw Talks. Yeah. Prior to that, we had a season 1 called Road to 100 Million. We were on a journey to impact over 100 million people to change their lives, achieve the dreams. But now we're going like a little bit of an Andy Frisella mix on where it's a little bit more
conversational. Yeah. It's more of us being really raw and, you know, being transparent, I think, was the big thing for us. Like just allowing people to see the real behind the scenes of 2 millennial entrepreneurs in 2 different industries just trying to make it. And really, I mean, we live and breathe this stuff, so we put our all into this stuff. So it's really just we share our struggles that we have through it. We allow people to learn through the lessons that we're learning, through the mistakes that we're making, right?
Yeah.
So that way anyone who's younger, older, it doesn't matter, like they can learn from our mistakes, kind of that dummy tax, as Dave would say, you know?
Right. And speaking of you two, you guys have worked for 2 of the biggest entrepreneurs, biggest names in the entertainment business space, between David Meltzer over here and Albert Preciado. Correct? I said that right?
Nice.
These are 2 guys that taught you how to study a student of your calendar, something I learned because I also worked under David Meltzer.
Yep.
He taught you a ton of other things on the other side with your mentor.
Estate, yeah.
You guys have worked with some of the best, and in terms of that, it's changed your lifestyle. It's changed the way you guys have gone through your morning to night. I know you have a schedule now. You wake up at 4 a.m., which is absolutely insane. I can't even do that. But how do you explain that between David Meltzer and
Albert?
Albert
Preciado. So I can talk to you guys about a little bit what it's like to raise your identity and raise your environment. You know, you're only going to grow to the capacity to which the room is, right? And eventually you'll hit either a glass ceiling or you have to raise your identity, put yourself around people who are moving faster and
better
doing things. Yeah, way better than you. So I always knew that I was destined for greatness, right? I don't say that, you know, braggadociously, but I say that like I've always wanted to win in life. I've always had, like I said, a chip on my shoulder that I wanted to prove myself. And being around, you know, someone like Albert, who is a multimillionaire in his own right. He has multiple companies. He has a mortgage company, a real estate company, and he has like a driven enterprise company where he has top entrepreneurs on his stage. I wanted to go to the top. And I was able to go to one of his events. I met up with, and I linked up with his top realtor who was able to train me one-on-one and partnered up with me. And my story, you know, in a nutshell, from the last 9 months, I went from suicidal of March of 2020 during COVID, transitioned, got my license in July, started real estate October 1st, and the last 9 months, I went suicidal to 6 figures in 9 months. And that's something that I can't take too much. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Something I like I said, I take a lot of credit because I'm a hard worker, but I'm not the best realtor. It's putting yourself in an environment where 6 figures to them is like they're broke, right? So me going, I was like, I'm making what they're making on a bad month. But it's just the environment you put yourself in.
And how about let's stop right there. You were suicidal at one point. Do you want to talk about that on what got you to that point?
Yeah.
And what triggered to flip it? Because I've had multiple guests on that had that also. They were at the point where I'm done, and then in a blink of an eye, someone
Rock
told
bottom.
them, some friend called and said something amazing and said, you can do this, this, and this, and then boom.
So my birthday is December 5th. December 4th, 2019, I went and I was in the car, super unhappy with my life, and I saw, there needed to be change. And I was in the rain looking up in the sky. I was like, you're going to have the best day of your life. You're going to become the best version of yourself. And I made a commitment to myself. I made a decision. I made no other choice. And literally the month after that, COVID started in China. I was like, oh shit, March, world shuts down. I'm like, well, the year I'm supposed to become the best version of myself, the world's shutting down. And it got really tough and it got really scary because business started to slow down. And I wasn't sure what my future was. So I went into a dark place, like, how am I supposed to become somebody when the world's shutting down? So I really went dark. May 26th, I started 75 Hard, Andrew Zaled's transformation journey type thing. Completed it August 8th. And from there, I just went on a journey. I think Andrew can talk about, what it was for me. But going suicidal to where I'm at now, if you're battling with suicide or battling with those thoughts, realize that there's a light. And even if the light is a speck of sand, the tunnel can get bigger and brighter if you consistently work on yourself every day. Knowing that there's a better version of yourself that exists, you have to go out there, work you have to reveal, there's a version of yourself that exists that's revealed to you, the best version of yourself. And every single day I'm in pursuit of who that is. So like I said, we wake up at 4 a.m. every day because we're in our own pursuit. And I really want to teach people how to pipe. Pursue your potential. PYP.
PYP.
Yes.
He's been trying to coin this. I don't know if I'm on board yet or not, and he's been running with it. But it's a good meaning behind it. Pursue your potential, and you know that was something that we really indulged in. Like, it wasn't just work hard and do all this. Like, no, we literally try to every day we have at least 16 to 18 hours of stuff that we're doing. Like, we worked all day before this and then finally met up and then drove out here to do this, right? Because it's part of what we want to do too, building our brands, coming on for you and your podcast to support, and we're honored to be here as well, so it's
appreciate it.
It's just because we have some moments like this too where I have trainings and stuff that I'm doing with my team every week, and we're in office teaching people, and days like this when we're driving out and we're doing a podcast out here in Redondo Beach at a beautiful house. Like it's just at one point we're kind of pinching ourselves, like, this is just a start, dude. And I'm like, dude, this is sick. Like, this is our normal Tuesday evening,
Yeah.
So it was something that
normal Tuesday with dogs barking.
they're going a little crazy, but they're
doing
excited. They're excited for our energy. It was just they came in.
Yeah, it's their way. They can't snap, They don't got thumbs.
So bring them out. The dogs have been on this podcast multiple times. Like, what is going on?
I think you need to bring them on as guests next, bro.
Hold on, how about this? You guys are gonna talk for a second. I'm gonna go grab the dogs.
All right,
Get the dogs.
So, I mean, anything about really pursuing the potential, and we can both speak on this all day long, is the 4 a.m. starts, the 8 p.m. in bed, wind down for an hour, right? We consistently, everything I do is in my calendar.
Everything.
And my calendar is a direct reflection of
your values.
My values.
Yes.
Right? It starts with first meditating. Yep. I spend a minimum of at least an hour on my health.
Yeah.
So 20 minutes of meditation, 20 minutes of reading, and 20 minutes of working out, which usually I go on a run every single morning.
Yeah.
And so that's my first start to the day. My morning routine is absolutely like my sanctuary, kind of I don't zero out. It's an everyday thing. Yeah. Right? It doesn't matter what I'm doing, how late I'm staying up, those are non-negotiables. And when I say non-negotiable, I mean non-negotiable. It means you can't miss, You can't call something a non-negotiable and, I do it 3 days a week, but the rest of the time, I'm off. Yeah. So it started with that. It started with understanding where my time was going. Yeah. Right? It started going I didn't look at my time as, my relationship to time changed. Mm-hmm. right? We can take the 86,000 seconds a day,
Mm-hmm.
right? If you start looking at it as a dollar amount, a dollar figure, let's say you start every day with $86,000 and you got to figure out, hey, how am I going to spend this $86,000? Hey, welcome to the club, guys. The dogs just got in. But anyways, if you look at the seconds in a day, the 86,000 seconds in a day.
86,400.
And, okay, to be exact. Is if you looked at it in a money sense, right?
Yeah.
You
How are
would
you
spend
investing
your
it?
time a lot more wisely,
Mhm.
right? How are you spending those 86,000 seconds?
Yeah.
Right? And if you looked at it in a dollar figure, same thing. How would you spend that more wisely? And if you had a late start or you lost an hour of the day or
Would you burn the rest of it? No.
Exactly. So
Yes.
that's just kind of perspective we take, and it's at the point where we've gotten to like, it's just how much can we get done in a single day, really?
Yeah.
It's Dave's power of 64, working 64 hours of productivity in a single day, which we can go into a little bit, but I'll let Jacob speak on this because, it's something that he's learned as well and picked up very well.
I feel like I missed half of this. What are we talking about?
We jumped to student of the calendar.
Student of the calendar. I found that the dog was not locked outside, but thought it couldn't get through the door and was barking from the balcony. So this little one's back.
There you go.
Jerry, do not watch this. You're gonna kill me. Your dog is fine. Your dog is fine.
But going back to, we were talking about a little bit of suicide, right? That's kind of where we left, where you left. So suicide was something where I thought my life was over because the external things around us. What you can have to realize is that you're in control of two things in life: your attitude and your actions.
Yep.
Once you learn how to control that, everything external is how you respond to it. And you can choose to, and I want to actually bring this up. My grandma passed away 2 weeks ago. And I was in the office with Andrew, and I saw a text saying my grandma collapsed. And then my energy shifted right away.
Yep.
And within 10 minutes, I walked out, came back, and everything switched. He says you can control one of two things: your attitude and your actions. And I made a decision right there. I'm not gonna let that affect me. I'm gonna win my day regardless of what happens. And then within those 3 hours, my grandma passed away. And we give it meaning. We decide what events in our life and how we give it meaning. So I said, either I can go into 3 months of depression right now with my grandma passing away, or I can have the best 6 months of my life. And I chose to say, hey, my grandma's passing allowed me to become the best version of myself because I want to let her energy come through me for others, because she was one of my angels that I truly believe that was the reason why I'm here today. Her prayers are strong, her energy was strong, and how I carried myself with what I have right now, with what success is. Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
So,
and we literally filmed a podcast that day, like 2 hours after he received that text, before he even learned later on about her passing. And it's crazy to look back on that podcast, and he's talking about, he's like, you know what, I just left it on the table because all he did was just focus on what he could control, right? What he thinks, what he says, what he does, and what he believes, right? So he just focused on everything he can control, and he had no regrets. Even on the podcast, you can go back and listen, and he's literally like, if anything were to happen, he's like, I don't have to feel like I left everything on the table. I call her every weekend.
Every Sunday,
I spend time with her all the time. He was able to buy her these nice diamond earrings before and take her out and surprise her with all this stuff. Like, there was no regrets left on the table.
Yeah.
Right. So he really, it's a matter of values, right? Always sticking to the values, knowing that, hey, my family's important, instead of trying to cramp it up all in the last second because, oh my God, now they're sick and everything else.
Yeah.
Well, luckily he spent all that time with her and choosing on his values. Right, so that way he doesn't have to feel like that, right? Any regrets or anything left over. So
you don't want to forget to live a life, go in your pursuit, right? You have to make sure that you calendar your values correctly. And for me, I thought that money bought love and happiness for a long time. I thought,
yeah, you're just like Dave.
Just like Dave. I literally thought by wearing a Rolex, driving a Ferrari, I'm going to attract the love of my life, and I'm going to live a happy, fulfilled life.
I feel like that's the young person's vibe.
Everyone
wants to do that until they realize, once they do it, that what's the purpose.
And
at the end of the day, your goal is to get married, have kids, if you're into that stuff on that spectrum, to have kids and to grow a family and raise great people and keep the cycle going.
Absolutely.
A house is a house.
100%.
Yeah.
If it's a $1 house or a $1 billion house, it doesn't really matter. As long as there's a roof over your head
Shelter.
and you have air conditioning, or even not even air conditioning, if you have a shelter over your head, that's all that matters.
Yep.
And you have an education in school. Thanks to our school districts, you're able to go to school for free.
Absolutely.
Which a lot of people around the world are not able to.
Yeah.
But I 100% agree with you.
Yeah. So for a long time, I thought money bought love and happiness. And what I come to realize is that success is not, sorry, I'm jumping ahead. Success is not the numbers in your bank account. Success to me is things that I can, do what I want, when I want, wherever I want, with who I want. That's what success is. And living in my truth and living in my purpose and sharing my inspiration with others, because I know that by living the life that I want, I can inspire other people to live their full potential.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, some people try to inspire, and some people are just inspiring, and that's what we try to be. Like, us becoming our best selves is going to inspire people, right? I don't have some crazy following on Instagram, but I have a lot of people that reach out and tell me things about how inspiring some of my content is, or how inspiring everything we're doing is. And the jump, people who saw me from my first company to Dave to this, right? They've seen me evolve. And that's something that I recently just posted on Instagram, was like, people want to see the story. People want to see how you evolved, how you've grown. Like, after a while, like, how many times can you post your Ferrari? Right, until people get bored about you.
Yeah.
Right. Like,
yeah.
I don't measure success by what I have. I measure it by what I've done. Like, what have I done for others? What is the impact that I'm leaving here?
Right.
And that's the biggest thing for me. Like, Dave says it all the time. He's like, what people, people go out and, on his 50th birthday, for instance, like, he didn't buy himself a Ferrari. He spent that money and went and built 2 community centers in Africa. Like, he's making impact like that, right? And for me, it's a much more about the impact. Yes, do I want all this stuff as my, like, I want to live my dream life too, right?
Right.
Do I want the nice house? Yeah. Do I want the nice cars? Yeah. But I know that there's more than enough to be able to have that and to give away more than enough, right?
There's actually a person I want to talk about in terms of Jason Moon, bringing back sports production. My good director I've been doing most of my games with right now is from Scottsdale, Arizona. Every time we've had a game, he's taken us out. And the totem pole, I mean, if you're taking out a whole crew, there's maybe like 10, 15 people. It's going to cost a lot of money.
Yeah.
He's taking us to sushi. He's bought donuts for us. Every single game. Doesn't matter what it is. If it's a low budget or high budget, he's doing something for the whole crew. And we all looked at him, and he like jokes about it. He's like, I make enough money. I travel around doing college football and NBA games.
Yeah.
And he used to be the Coyotes director and everything like Arizona. But he looked at me and said, my grandfather died. When he died, I looked at if he saved any money, didn't save anything. And I realized it. I was like, why didn't he save money for everyone else? And then he thought again, as grandma looked at him and said, your grandfather basically thought that saving money, there was no point. What's the point of saving your money when you're living in reality, when you should be spending things on experiences and memories and stuff like that? If you make $500, spend $100 on a friend, make their day. If that's experience makes you happy, that's worth that money.
Yeah.
And he told us, he's like, I'm basically, every time I come here, I don't mind paying for you guys. I get it. It's very expensive.
Yeah.
As long as my car's paid off, my house is paid off, and certain things are paid off,
Yeah.
I don't care what I spend my money on. At the end of the day, I'm happy treating other people. I'm happy with these experiences because I see your guys' faces. You guys look at me like, oh my gosh, this is so nice. And that's what I want. So you don't have to be a millionaire to treat people. He's like, I was treating people with $20. And I have
you
my
can
$20.
give at any level.
Yeah, and after he told me that, I was like, oh my gosh, that's 100% true.
I can
What's the
resonate
point
with
of
that.
saving up? What's
Yeah.
the point of saving up for $1 million house when you can get a $100,000 house and the other $900,000 if you were saving up for $1 million? Go go on vacation, go give a homeless person life. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's one thing that Dave actually switched my mentality on from. I mean, I'm going to go into this because you know where I'm going. From giving to receive to receiving to give, right? I focus highly on receiving, right? I want to receive as much money as fast as I can, but I'm receiving it so I can give it, right? So I can allow it to come through me. Now, being in the finance world, I would suggest he saves some money, so we'll help him out there. But it's just, it's receiving to be able to give it, right? And whether it's giving it to your friends and family, whether it's giving it third world countries, whatever you want to, but like it's all about those experiences. It's all about what can we do with that in our life, because in reality money just gives you the option to shop. Right. You can just shop for whatever you want. You can shop for the Ferrari, you can shop for the Rolex, you can shop for whatever it is. You can shop for an orphanage down in Mexico. Like, it's just, you get to shop for whatever you want. So it just depends on what you want to do with that money. Like, what change do you want to make? Like, what experiences do you want to have? Like, it all just goes back to your values, really.
Right. There's this teacher, one of my sports broadcast classes at USC, Jeff Fellenzer, if anyone knows who he is, a great guy. Okay. Brought in one of his guests, one of his best friends, and I probably changed my life the way that his friend approached everyone. He told the whole class, he was like, hey, I have $1,000 right here. He's like, I have $1,000. These $1,000, if I, at the end of the class, I'm going to give $1,000 and maybe $100 each kid, or maybe 500.
Yeah.
You have one rule. Your one rule is to not treat yourself and to treat other people.
Yeah.
And he says every class that he goes to, he does this. And he has some kids that just get up and leave. You have other kids that get up and say, give me some money, and they probably keep it and don't treat people. And then he has people that actually listen to what he has to say.
Yeah.
So I walked up after class. I said, thank you. I loved his speech. I think he was amazing for what he did.
Yeah.
And I looked at him. I said, it's a 10 o'clock class. We just ended. It's 10 o'clock p.m. at night.
Yeah.
Everyone's gone. Do you still have the money? Because I thought you were leaving it out. I said, I want to try your dare. Your dare was like, I dare you to take some of my money and not spend on yourself and give it to people. And he looked at me and said, not one person came up to me but you. You're the only person in this class to get up, walk up to me and ask me about this. He's like, what are you going to do with all this money? He's like, I'm going to give you all this money right here. And then he stopped a sec. He's like, actually, I'm not going to give you that much. Let me give you $1,000. So he gave me $1,000. He's like, you can treat yourself. Do it. Are you going to feel good about it? Did you earn this money? No, you didn't earn it. I just gave it to you. It's my money. Yeah. But I want my money as my gift for you to give to someone else. And I thought about it. I said, I feel like a really shitty person if I go and spend it on myself. We're in the middle of downtown LA. There's a bunch of homeless people. I walk out of the place. I'm walking back towards my apartment. I see a homeless person. I walk up to him. I give him $50.
Yeah.
He looks at me and says, why? I said, go get some food. Go get some shelter, whatever you need to do. Please just don't spend it on drugs. He looked at me and said, oh my gosh, like I was short on money today. Thank you. I'm going to go buy some food right now.
Yeah.
I walk into my fraternity. I walk into the study hall area. Kids are studying. I give each kid $50.
Yeah.
All of them looked at me and said, why? I said, you're studying. That's all that matters. You're working hard towards your life. That's all that matters.
Yeah.
Went over to his sorority, gave it to the house moms for being really sweet to all the girls and taking care of them.
Yeah.
And I felt really good.
Yeah.
I gave it to certain people I thought deserved it. But in terms of that, I DM'd him on LinkedIn or messaged him.
Yeah.
And I told him what I did. And he responded and said, how did that make you feel? Did it make you feel very good? And I said, I feel like a changed person.
Yeah.
It feels good to give to people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then when it's not my money, it feels really good because now I'm putting a smile on someone's face. But if it was my own money, I'd feel even better.
Yeah.
And I think I just learned a big lesson about giving. And I think that's the person I want to be when I'm older, is to make enough money to give, start a foundation for special needs kids, all these things. But until then, I'm working to get there, and I'm very humble about it. But you guys have any experiences like that?
Oh my gosh. I literally lived, so there's the world of not enough, there's a world of just enough, there's a world of more than enough.
Yeah.
I switched my paradigm to a world of more than enough. I've been blessed lately to give it away with appreciation for others. I do that not because I'm looking to, hopefully God bless me with even more. It's I give it because I know what impact it is in that person's life. And it does make me feel good. I'm not sure if that's selfish or whatnot, but making sure someone has a smile on their face with a subtlety, just a subtle giving it away. And there's so many times, I don't even want to do this because there was a Bible verse, Matthew 6:1. Don't let the left hand know what the right hand is doing. God doesn't want you to try and show off to other men or other people in this world what you're giving away. Boast about it. Don't boast about it. But I feel like I can share with what I've been doing lately so I can inspire others. I paid for my sister's DRE licensing. I paid for my other sister's $500 ticket. I go out there and I give money away to homeless people whenever I can.
Constantly.
There's always money in my wallet, and you'll see like multiple times in one day I'll give it away.
Yeah.
At church, I give money to my church, and I'll buy things for people because I know it'll put a smile on their face. But what happens is when you do that without any intent to receive, and you know that you're receiving to give it away, somehow, some way, you attract so much more wealth in your life faster. For what I've experienced, I used to live in a world of just enough. I was so afraid to pay a $50 internet bill, and he's like, "Bro, you have like X amount of money in your bank account. Why are you afraid to?" Yeah. And the second he made me switch that perspective, my income doubled, tripled, literally. And then I started buying and giving it away. I was, oh, this is fun. I started giving away things so much quicker, knowing that.
Why did it happen like that? How come the second you started giving and looking in the perspective of other people, you started to be more successful?
I changed the energy and the philosophy I had with giving.
Your relationship with money.
Yeah, I was trading. I was like, hey, if I'm gonna give you this 50, you better somehow pay back to me somehow.
Right.
In a way of living in a world of more than enough, I'm gonna give you this 50, and I know it's gonna make you good, and I know that's my receiving values are gonna go up. So I don't know what it does, but the universe speaks, or the universe is working in your favor to find a way to receive.
Yeah, you're basically emptying your cup so you're able to receive more.
Yeah.
Right? Literally today, I texted him about having dinner with my dad tomorrow because it's my dad's like 50th. I get a text from this guy like, hey, come to your front door. And I'm like, what the heck? I go and open my front door. I'm literally like eating lunch, and I open it, and he has like a bottle of Screwball, and he's like, hey, here.
Literally the same bottle we're drinking.
No, that's the second one.
Oh,
but he literally was like, hey, like, this is for your dad. And I was like, what the heck? Like, bro, seriously? And he's like, yeah. And he just totally surprised me. And little things like that. But I mean, it's just the amount of giving, because he used to have, like, from a third person view of when we used to go through this, he used to have this like tie to money. Like, he didn't want to let it go. Like, he would let it go, but like he would fight it, a little bit. And it got to the point where he was like, no, you know what? I live in a world more enough of everything for everyone, kind of thing, right? He used to be like, I remember when you went, where was it? Fashion Island, and you were like walking through the stores, and you were looking at some Rolexes, and you're like, called me because he's like, dude, he's like, I'm looking at these Rolexes, and I'm looking, okay, 30 grand. He's like, you know what I could do with that? Like, what if I gave that away and did something with that? And I was like, bro, I'm like, why can't you have both? I'm like, why can't you do both? Just make more. Like, it's a real, like, more than enough thing, right? For the perspective of, like, you can do both. You can have nice things and give away more. Like, you don't,
to charities, foundations, or whatever. Yeah.
And it's just, it just depends, because there's a very, I think, like, cynical thing of especially with social media. And I know we wanted to kind of jump into this of, the perspective of success and how you have to look, and how, like, nobody wants to post the Steve Jobs moment in the garage, right? Imagine if you can go on Steve Jobs' Instagram and scroll back down to him and Wozniak in the garage, like a selfie of them, dude. Like, that's what we started posting when we first started. Like, I literally used to film, like, I would set up my camera, and it would have to be out of my kitchen so that I would set up everything else. Like, it looked so funny. Like, my camera's on a tripod in the kitchen. I'm like 10 feet away, like in the living room, like set up with this little backdrop. Like, dude, like, I just showed where I was at, and eventually it just kept evolving and kept evolving and kept evolving. And then that's when people saw, like, oh, dude, you're making progress, and they like to see the progress, right? And that's when they start, they're along for the journey. They're not just there to see funny stuff. They're not there to just see all the success and allocates or whatever it may be, material items. Like, they're there to watch the story evolve and grow. They're there for the journey, you know? And so that's the perspective I take with anything I post and anything I share, really, is just, how can I help others with this, really?
Right. And I think the biggest thing that, I learned from working at David Meltzer, working under you, my boss, for a little bit, is how can you be of service to someone? And that's the biggest thing I think people, let's get into sales, let's get into communication and relationships. Sales is what grows everything. Sales runs businesses, it runs a world.
Always.
You don't sell, you don't make money. Simple enough. But there's a technique on how to sell, and one of them is how to be of service to someone, which is a different approach and different perspective than just selling a product to someone. Yeah. I know you two have two different perspectives, actually same perspective, two different ways with your industries. I want you guys to get into, how do you be of service in your industries, and how is that success rate from your approach making you guys more?
I'll take that real quick. So for me, sales is I come in with no resistance. I'm coming in with and setting the expectation early on of asking what I can do to provide what they want in their goals. For selling a home, they're looking for certain things, and they have certain expectations or certain criteria with a seamless transition. Some people, they want to sell their home and buy a new one, or some people are, hey, I need to get into a new home because my lease is coming up. Everyone has their own expectations, and coming in and being more interested than interesting into your client, you'll find out what they need and their pain points, and you'll provide service to them, creating resolutions for them. There's no hard sales when I'm going into a real estate transaction. I'm just becoming the problem solver and the navigator and the negotiator for them. And I make that process so seamless and so efficient for them without any resistance. And I'm going to be there at 4 a.m. for them, or at 10 p.m. for them, or I'll stay up later, whatever it is for them, because I want them to feel how I would want to feel in a certain transaction. Where I also explain things thoroughly, even if they already know, so that they know that I'm going above and beyond, and there's no funny business going behind closed doors. My fiduciary duty to my clients is par none. I'm like, this is how a contract is. This is what the terms are. This is what it is. This is what the agent said. You have to go out there, and you don't tell, you show. You don't be like, hey, I'm the best agent ever. No one wants to hear how great you are as an agent. You want to show them by what service you bring to them and how you show up to them all the time. I brought Andrew with me in some of my showings. My clients love me like family. Like, it's weird. I'll get calls. Oh my gosh, you're like the best agent ever. I love you.
Yeah. But the number one thing, which you would probably agree, they love you for one big reason. communication and being with them and treating them like not just a client, but
it's authentic.
as family.
Yeah, it's family.
My mom is a real estate agent, and she tells me, she's like, most of the people I work with, it's all about relationships. It's all about if they like you, it's not about if you're the best real estate agent at all. It's more of relationships. But if you are being authentic in yourself and you're not selling them, or vice versa, depends on what side you're on. Yeah, you're just being yourself. You're more likely to succeed, and that's probably what's going on because of communication.
Yeah. So I live by 3 things. I'm branding myself with humble, transparent, and full service. When you come to me, I'm not gonna pride myself on what I've already done. There's nothing. You're as good as your last month in business. Just because you had $1 million sale in last month in June doesn't mean it doesn't dictate anything coming in July. So you're as good as your best month in business, or your last month in business. I say full service because I can take you from cold to sold, and every single step in between. And I say transparent because I want to let my clients know that there's nothing to hide, and everything's on the table, and I'll represent you as the best agent possible.
Yeah. I mean, if I had to go into it, it's pretty much the same thing. We take the real genuine approach to sales, and it's really, I think, like, I don't even like to call it sales. Like, I feel like it's not even really sales. Like, if I had to name it something, it'd be like selling through curiosity, right? Being interested in someone, learning about their goals, learning about what they want, so that way you can find out, hey, is it something my product, service, or solution can provide for them? And then at that point, you just ask them questions to make them aware of the problems they have, so that way you can fill the gap. Right. And it starts with, I tell everyone this too, that I have calls with. I never sell on the first appointment ever, and I'm very straight up with that. And I tell them I'm here, relationship first, business second. Right. I'm here to let you know, hey, I'm here for the long run. Right. I'm not here just to be that guy that wants to get the commission off of you and run. Right. And I think you have to be very upfront and transparent with that, because in the world of the past, 10, 15, 20 years of sales, it's the real Wolf of Wall Street, like ring and ding, like get the sales, like hard closers. Like now it's like, especially with the millennials, like they want to know that you care about them. Like nobody cares how much you know until they know how much you care. Right. And so it just goes into being really genuine, authentic, really there for them. Right? To let them know, hey, I'm on your side, right? Just like for Jacob in real estate, people don't like to go shopping with an agent. They like to go shopping with a friend, right? And that's what he just knows how to become, right? He's really good at being able to become someone's friend, getting them comfortable with them. And same thing, when I go on, I'm very transparent about what my mission is, why I'm here, what's my purpose to this, what's my story in this. Like they know so much about me by then, but I know more about them. Yeah. Because I also ask more questions than I get asked. Right? Because I make sure that, hey, I need to know everything about them and about their logic and about how they think and understand things, so that way I can see, hey, are they someone that I can potentially help? And if it's not someone I can potentially help, guess what? I'm not going to try and be someone I'm not. Right? And if I can help in any other way outside of what I do, I'm there. Like I still help them.
You want to build trust too, so that these people that are your sponsors can become power sponsors. Maybe you can't help them, but they might know someone that you can help.
Exactly.
Right. And no one wants to be sold; they want to buy. So if you teach
they want to go shopping.
Yeah. If you teach people how to buy and not sell on them, they'll be, oh yeah, that's easy. So call to actions are important, right? If you don't ask, you'll never know.
Yep.
So don't be afraid to ever ask. Asking is the most important thing, because people feel unworthy to ask. And that's one of the biggest problems, is people don't feel like they deserve anything. So the lack of deservingness is the reason why you don't have what you want. Raise your identity, raise your associations. You'll deserve. Anytime there's anything offered to me, I'm like, give it to me, because I know I deserve it. I put the work in. I'm a good person. I give it away faster to receive it even more. So like what I was going back to is, people don't want to be sold. They want to buy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So why don't we play a game? And the game's gonna be, we make up a product. What random product do we want to sell right now?
Lemonade.
We are selling lemonade. The nice, curious drink of, let's say, strawberry lemonade. We're selling that. We're a brand new company. We're newer than all the lemonade companies out there. How are we going to sell this product? What is your guys' approach when trying to sell this? Are we going to use media? Are we going to go to companies and cold call them? Are we going to send CRM systems out to get people to notice us?
No, you're going to
What are you guys going to do? What's the approach?
You're going to go the easiest place. You're going to go where people are thirsty. What if you're in the parking lot at the beach, and it's a hot day, and people are walking back and forth on boardwalk, and you're like, hey, yo, I got some strawberry lemonade right here. Yep. Like, that's where you start. Some people, like, they try to think it too much and go into, like, oh yeah, we got to get these big deals inside the stadium and everything else. Like, if you have an idea, figure out how to just do it. Like, start now. Like, don't go down the path of like, all the problems you think you're gonna have.
No.
Right?
Yeah.
Actually take action, and that's how you're gonna find out the problems that you actually have. You're gonna be like, oh shit, I need a permit to sell at the beach or something, Like then you'll find out what the real problems are. But at that point, the perspective I would take is go to the people that need it. Go to the people that want it. Find out where people are going to be thirsty and can't get a drink, and where it's convenient for them, right? That's where you start.
What he's saying is creating your blue ocean strategy. Yeah. Creating, where does this lemonade, where will this literally pop off?
Where's this needed most, really?
Yeah, so with this lemonade thing, I wouldn't even go there. For me, I'd be going digital real estate. I would say,
fighting a little.
Literally, I wouldn't even go. I'd be like, all right, so the real estate is a hot market right now, but the future of whatever all of us need to do is figure out how to get into the digital real estate space.
Yeah.
Figure out how to find your niche in social media, because that's the future now. Door knocking, cold calling is dead.
Yeah.
At least for my
I don't think it's dead. I agree with that.
People are just too scared of random calls nowadays because there's too many bots out there.
Yeah, because I don't know, because SMS has the biggest open rate right now in anything. Email marketing still has one of the bigger open rates. Like, that's how things like big brands are being sold, through email drip campaigns, right? That's all the marketing that goes into it. Is really SMS now is really taking over. So any text like community, right? Like community, huge, right?
Yeah.
But things like that, like I agree with that. But if you're going to go in and start a business, like, don't expect social media to start paying you out within 2 weeks of posting. It's just not going to happen.
Exactly. Also, want to preface that you want to first under-promise and over-deliver on every client, so they become a word-of-mouth marketing for you. The word-of-mouth marketing for you, oh my gosh, the referral business I'm getting.
Oh my gosh, is the best.
Huge.
I'm getting that right now for mine.
Dude, okay, this is a question I also asked Dave when I was way back when I was reading Think and Grow Rich for the first time. It talks about Gandhi having like a following of like 800 million people who followed like everything he taught. And I was like asking Dave, and I was like, how did he do that back then? Like, no social media, no, like, how does he, like, I don't even understand or fathom how he could, his message could travel so far back in that day, right? And he was like, think about social media now. He's like, so what if a video gets 1 million views or 800 million, right? He's like, but who's still behind that? It's still people behind the phone, behind the view, right? It's still people at the end of the day. And we can't underestimate what we can do if you went to the beach and told 5 people and gave 5 people your business card. Hey, you know what? We're throwing a party over here. We need somebody to cater lemonade outside, right? Like, we can't underestimate that stuff, because social media, too many people try to start the business there and be like, oh, social media is going to drive the business. Like, no, it's not. You still got to go out. You still got to sell your product. You need to know how to put your product on a pedestal for people to be attracted to it, right? Now it's more so attraction marketing, okay? You need to, that's especially for the millennials. You need to be able to put out the content that is going to attract your audience, right? You're not trying to chase them down anymore. You're attracting them. That's why everything on my social media is all about leadership, all about peak performance, all about entrepreneurship, because that's the market I want to attract, right? And so that's one of the bigger things, but people have to understand, like, social media, the real social media takes time. Branding, like, yes, there's those people that pop off, like TikTok especially. Like TikTok, if you
it's like home runs, bro. These guys are just boom,
Well, I mean, everyone just expects to have the home run within 6 months of posting. It's like, dude,
it doesn't work like that.
It's not not everyone does that.
So Gary Vee, how long? How long to build his brand?
Dude,
he's 30 when he posted his first piece of content.
Yeah,
first
30 years old.
The segmentation, the lily pad effect, right?
Yeah.
How long do you think it'll take for a lily pad to fill up a pond if it doubles every day? By day 15, go ahead. You're way better than this. Is his analogy.
You already messed it up. But anyways, he's just talking segmentation. Essentially, it's the exponential growth factor. So for our podcast, or for your podcast, let's say your goal every year is to get 2 people to listen to it and tell 2 people, hey, you got to listen to Michael's podcast, bro. It's super sick, right? If you do that every year, 2 people to get you 2 people, and the next year, those 2 people to get you 2 more people, right?
Double every year.
By 10 years, you're at 1,024 people telling 1,024 people a year, which doesn't seem like a lot. But at 20 years, you have 2 million people telling 2 million people a year, right?
In year 21, you're at
And so don't think about social media as like win or fail. Think about it as like keep going until it happens. And really, that's just anything in entrepreneurship. You have to just be able to say, hey, I don't care how long this takes. Like, I'm going to do whatever it takes, right? And it's a post I actually posted today about being relentless, right? You really have to be relentless in entrepreneurship. Like I said, I jumped from, or I had 10 different businesses I tried to start, right? 12 different jobs I had prior. But if I didn't stay relentless in saying, hey, I still believe this dream is possible, because people get bought out of their dreams way too easily.
Yeah.
It just happens way too early, right? And it just, after that, they settle for whatever is in front of them, really.
You don't want your will to win to be bought. You don't want to go out there and, if I said, hey, 100 million, are you going to cool your jets? For me, you tell me $100 million and I couldn't do what I want to do and I couldn't do this anymore, I would decline it, because the money doesn't drive happiness or fulfillment for me. I want to go out there and share my message every single day. And along the journey, you have potential to do what we're doing right now. Anybody out there listening to this, you can do whatever it is that we're doing. It only takes a decision to become who you know you can become. And to reveal that person is to study success. Success leaves clues.
Absolutely.
So you have to go out there
and
and
this is about. Bring people on to give their insight.
Literally.
Exactly.
So success leaves
I don't know
clues.
everything.
Yeah. So you want to go out there.
Neither do we. I guarantee you, neither do we.
So there's people out there who have the keys to success, and you're out there to try and find who has all the keys, right? You'll go and read Napoleon Hill. You'll read Jim Rohn, Tony Robbins, Wayne Dyer. All these guys have already done it. So just emulate what success is. You're a decision away, and all you have to do is do it every single day. And remember, you have 24 hours on the clock. So if you can make sure those 24 hours are spent wisely, you make a decision. And I made a post today also. I talked about the 2 decisions. You have the easy one and the right one. You continue to make the hard and tough choices, your life will become easy. You keep on doing the easy and comfortable choices, your life will get hard. So continue to make the hard and tough choices over the course of time, and eventually you're going to end up somewhere you didn't realize. If I knew who I was today existed back when I was suicidal, I would have told you, bro, you're joking. 6 figures, bro. You don't even have $10.
Okay.
Yeah, you're gonna be like, whoa, bro. Like, you're gonna become a real estate, close over 20 transactions in 9 months. That doesn't just happen. You have to go out there and believe in identity, and then over a course of time, you'll live up to that identity.
Right.
Yeah.
And let's move on to something I think is very important. You have a kid that's here trying to start a new business.
Okay.
Biggest thing about starting a new business, it can be anything out there, whatever your heart desires. Let's say we're making a new app. You're gonna have thousands of friends, thousands of people bagging on you saying this app is a piece of crap. This is not gonna work. How are you gonna get the money? How are you get the seed money? What's gonna happen?
Yeah.
Even my company I made, people are like, this is not gonna work.
Yeah.
We built it. It took a year. It took a year and a half.
Yeah.
Now people have seen it. They're like, oh my gosh, this is a great product. Just more people need to know about it. I've had plenty of friends starting their own bikini company, starting drop shipping, starting all these entrepreneur things where they believe in their idea. Not saying every single one's going to be successful, but there's thousands of people that bag on them and say this kid's not going to make it. You guys on both sides, you have friends, you have people that did not believe in you, did not think anything of you becoming who you guys are right now. What is the dedication? What is the mindset? And for the kids listening that are in that position right now, how did they get the right help? How did they get the right mentor, and how did they get the right mindset to make their dream come true?
I think I can start with that. Is one thing I would say about that is, for starters, people are going to laugh at you and scoff at you before they applaud you, and that's just for anything you do, right? For kids, it's easy for people to be like, oh yeah, chase your dreams, do whatever you want. But the older and older you get, they're like, maybe you should look at this and that, and like, dude, that's why your will to win, like we say, cannot be bought. And another thing I would say is make sure your values are tied into what you're doing and what you're trying to build. If you don't have deep enough whys, you're going to give up, because it's hard. I've gone through, and it's funny that we keep bringing up the post, because today I posted something and I said throughout all the 10 businesses I tried, all of them could have been my ticket to success. All of them could have worked, but my whys weren't deep enough in them. It got to the point where, I tried it. It's not going to work. It's not for me, right? It's because my values weren't deep enough. Like, your whys, it has to start with what you want and understanding why you want it. And then the how is easy, right? But if you don't understand why you want it, guess what? The first time that sales appointment doesn't go right, or the first time your mom or your friends or your anyone says, oh, that's not going to work, right? Your whys have to be deep enough to say, hey, why am I going to keep going? Why am I going to get back up after failure after failure? Because any super successful entrepreneur will tell you that it goes through failure. You have to go through failure. Like, I think it's Michael Jordan that has the most like missed shots in the NBA, but look at who he is. It's because he takes those shots, right?
And then the also guy that said, I'm going to start playing baseball, and hits a home run in minor league play, and everyone doubted him after his full basketball career. And he made that happen. I think it's all about like the mindset.
Exactly. And I think you want to speak on that.
Yeah, so when you go to people who are going to laugh and scoff, you have to realize that people out there are going to either, one of two things, are going to bleed you or they're going to feed you, right? You have to make sure that the people that are out there that are bleeding you, laughing at you, scoffing at you, you limit your time and access from them. And the people that go out there and feed you, motivate you, and support you, you focus on that time. I've already separated myself from everyone I graduated high school with. So everyone in high school and below, realize those people are not in your life permanently. And you will attract what you become. So you have to become more, be more, and you have to be. Oh,
come on, bro.
Oh my gosh.
Come on, bro. First time podcasting. I remember my first time.
You have to. In order to attract what you have to become, you have to read the books, listen to the podcast, and you have to ask. I asked my mentor to be his mentee, but I want to talk about this too. Being a good mentee in a mentor relationship, you don't go and be high problems, low producing. You go low maintenance, high producing. So don't go out there and see every problem for every solution. Go out there and find every solution to every problem. And you're going to literally find people that are going to continue to laugh at you and scoff at you, regardless of what level of success you get to. Yeah. Regardless if you get the Ferrari or the Rolex or the jet or whatever it is, people are going to hate on you, but that's them projecting their own insecurities onto you.
Yeah.
If I learned that earlier on in my career, that people are, when they're talking smack on you, it just shows them how insecure they truly are. The real winners in life don't have time nor the mental capacity to think about anybody else's success. I'm listening to the Audible book right now, Winning by Tim Grover, and he says, winning, you can't think about it with any other person. There's no mistakes when it comes to winning. You are in your own lane. There's no other lane you're looking at, and you keep your blinders on. You're watering your own grass all day, every day. No, if you look at someone else's grass, your grass starts to die.
Yep. Starts to get real brown real quick. You're like, yo, what happened? Theirs looks like turf and mine is starting to kind of look crappy, you know?
And there's going to be noise out there, but noise is noise. So you have to go out there and realize you have to silence noise and focus on you, focus on what your dream is, what you want to accomplish in this life, because we're here for a blip.
Yeah.
A quick 80 to 100 years. And once you realize that, there's no time to think about other people's opinions for you. Just as long as you're in your pursuit, you're going to attract everyone that's out there. And there's so many good people out there. Yeah. Like meeting you, it's been a refreshing thing. Like I appreciate this already.
New friends make the dream work. And speaking of friends, networking is the biggest thing.
Oh yeah.
I'm known through my whole friends group as a guy that knows every person in the area. And
it's a good guy to be.
I was telling my parents and a couple of my best friends the other day, and I said the reason why it's like that is because I treat every person like their own. I don't look at them like, hey, they're not rich, they're poor, or they're not cool, or them, any
you
of
don't
that
label
stuff.
Or judge.
I don't label. I don't care.
Yeah.
The reason why I have a lot of special needs kids that are actually some of my best friends. I'm going to a baseball game on Tuesday with one.
Beautiful.
I don't look at them as any other person. Yeah. That's just who I am. And I feel like if you treat people like that, networking becomes a little easier. Yes, there is people out there that networking is a game.
Yeah.
There's guys out there that will follow you on LinkedIn and be like, hey, let's be friends. Even though they're just using you, trying to get something.
They have a different agenda. They have.
Yeah.
But let's talk about networking in the term of business, in the term of real estate and entrepreneurship. Yeah. It makes the dream work.
Absolutely.
And you guys have learned from the best on how to network, how to make relationships, and give some advice or insight on how to make a good relationship and network.
Yeah. So I think it starts with, like we talked about earlier, really trying to be of service. How can I help this person? Like whether you can gain from it or not. Like, how can I help this person? Like, how can I learn about them, right? How can I hear about, like, the most powerful thing you can do is ask someone, like, what their story is.
Yeah.
Right? To show you really care. Like, hey, what's your story? How'd you end up here? Like, what brought you here? And just being curious, like, being interested in people. Too many people try to go to, like, networking events and all this and try to be the cool guy in the back.
They peacock around.
Yeah, that sits around and all they do is talk about their last year in business and, like, how much of a badass they are. And it's like, dude, no, like you're not going to get anything out of this. Like, you're there to create the experience, right? So you have to be able to go in, realize, hey, I'm going to try and meet as many people as I can and smile and shake as many hands as I can and become friends with them, as many people as I can. Doesn't matter if I think they're all some high level business person or they're just getting in. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, you just have to go in and be a genuine, authentic person there to just make friends, right? It doesn't do you any good to try to have your ego up in the back of the room being that cool guy, And I know you can share a little bit.
People aren't as scary as you think.
Absolutely.
People, like when I've literally talked to multi-billionaires and I've talked to people that are homeless. It's a human is a human. So what I've learned, and one of my superpowers is knowing how to connect with people for them to literally fall in love with you. And if there's a book out there that I can reference, it's How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie, and the second one is How to Talk to Anyone.
Yep.
92 ways to talk to anyone. So what this is like you said, being more interested and interesting, and knowing how to do that. There's an attractive nature when you know how to come up to in a conversation, and I'm like, wow, how are you? And you go so interested. They're like, wow, this energy. When him and I are at a bar or anywhere, people are attracted to us, but not because we're peacocking. It's because we're so interested. Every person that walks up to me, I find a way to compliment them or ask a question where I can pull value from them.
Yeah.
Someone always wants to help. You have to realize that people always want to find a way to help you, and if you could pinpoint their superpower to figure out how they can help you, they'll want to be and find more.
And the dogs are back.
There you go.
And they'll want to pinpoint and find a way to want to help you.
Yeah.
So you make awareness to their superpower for them to help you, and the dogs just want to help.
The dogs just want to help, bro. They want to protect us, you know?
That's what it is. No, but going back to that,
whole show.
So go out there and find a way to compliment people genuinely on what their superpowers are, and find a way where they can help you, and you guys will kick it off.
Boom.
I 100% agree. So how about we get into both you guys? You guys have learned from the best. You have witnessed the best. You have been in the process of coming from nothing to now the top and transitioning. Where do you guys see yourself in 5 years? All of us have a goal to become millionaires, of course, but all of us have a different mindset. I know you guys have two different mindsets where, sure, it's great to have money,
Yeah.
but you want to change the world in the aspect of reaching 1 million people in the world. I know both of you have that goal.
Absolutely.
So what is the 5-year plan for both of you?
You want to start?
5 years for me, I want to be co-ownership and equity in Ambiance Realty, as well as be a partner with Andrew in the next 5 years, and see myself exiting and becoming one of the household names in the real estate and in financial services space, alongside hosting and running events, going out there and helping and inspire people to pursue their potential. Along the way, experiencing life in all richness, in relationships, in experiences, and traveling the world. So I can definitely see myself doing that.
Beautiful. For me, I got a weird thing about goals. You know, I don't look to, like, for me, it's doubling the amount of money as fast as I can, right? As quickly as I can, and growing, not only money, but growing and scaling my company, like doubling as fast as I can. Because the faster I can do that, the faster I can learn how much I'm going to be compounding over the years of the exponential growth factor of, like, Ed Mylett has been in this business for 30 plus years. After his first few years, like, every single quarter after that has always been an increase in growth, right? So for me, I really look at the long-term 20, 30-year long-term goal. Like, what is my vision there? And for me, that's building a business that's cash flowing over $100 million a year, right? And that's really my big time goal. And I know, and backtrack that to, I need 1,024 people making 6 figures on my team to be able to do that. So I know over 30 years that I can find 1,024 people that are driven and motivated and really want to put in the work and do that. And I know that I can get them to 6 figures, let alone if they can get to 6 figures, they're going to have an easier time getting to 7 figures at that point, right? And so I know that that's a dream big enough to fit my entire team in, right? And it's something that I've backtracked and been able to find out now, and it's just my long-term vision. Like, that's my tunnel vision goal, because I know if I'm making $100 million a year, I can do anything. I can impact in any way that I want. Right. It's enough, right? It's enough to do and put away and save. And, like, come on, Ed's reaching, at the age of 50, he's reaching the billionaire level right now. And I know, because of the efficiencies in the industry, because of the accessibility of social media,
Zoom,
exactly,
everything,
that I can run my business from wherever I want, right? I can go to Ibiza for a month, really, if I wanted to, and run my business from there. So I know that I can connect. And I brought on a partner from Fresno the other day. I've had partners in Florida. Like, I can expand way quicker than he could back in the day, right? So I know in my 20, 30 year jump, what took him 50 years, I can do in 25 to 30 at least, right? And so that's my long-term vision of the $100 million cash flow per year, because I know that's going to be enough to be able to give away what I want, to be able to have what I want, and to be able to do what I want, really. And so whatever impact I can make, whatever, because I don't really have an ending cause and need, but I one of my big goals is to be able to give away over $100 million, but I don't have some some goal in mind of where that goes. I'm just going to be able to see, hey, what needs saving right now? And because I don't know in 30 years what's going to need saving. Right now, I know like Cole Hatter, CEO of Thrive, right? The Thrive events, he's all into helping for human trafficking and all that. And they help save over 200 different women that now are in full-time careers. Like his whole thing is about making money matter. Right. And so I know that at that $100 million a year level, I can do that. And I know because of where the industry's at, because of the efficiencies we have in today's age and world with technology, like I can do that. And so for me, it's just having that dream big enough to be able to fit everyone in it, right? That everyone could be winning in this game, right? And on my team. So it's really that's the only goal in mind for me. Now it's just how quickly can I get there, really? So I don't look at 5-year really. I look at what's in front of me and what direction am I trying to go to, right? So I think that's kind of where my mind goes as far as goals.
And I want you to add on, because David and our whole crew, our biggest thing was the 4 Ps. And something that you stressed a lot to me, even though it's Dave's model on what the 4 Ps are. And I want you to explain to everyone what the 4 Ps are and how they actually change your life, what being a student of your calendar is. Yeah. Because that is something that it is basically a day in your life. Yeah. So want to explain everyone what the 4 Ps are?
Yeah. So the 4 Ps are peace, profit, purpose, and passion. Right. And the dogs are very passionate about this, apparently. So it's peace, profit, purpose, and passion. Those are the 4 things that I spend my time on. Right. If it's outside of that, guess what? I'm not going to spend much of my time. This being on this podcast is part of my purpose and my passion. Right. So it's to look at all the things that you do within a day, right, and run them through your values. See how much of them are aligned with what your values are. And that's the biggest thing I can take away from Dave and Ed and everyone that I've worked around is understand your values, right? There's your core values, right? What do you live by? And for Dave, the core fundamental values are 4 values, which are gratitude, empathy, accountability, and inspiration, right? And those are the 4 that you have to learn, right? Gratitude gives you perspective. It makes your past good, your present better, and your future brighter. Empathy allows you to have peace, right? Forgiving yourself for the lessons you haven't learned as well as the lessons you've forgotten, right? Accountability gives you control. Accountability by asking 2 questions. How did I attract this myself, and what am I supposed to learn from it? And then inspiration is simply a reminder that you were always connected to the highest form of light, love, and lessons. Right? So those are the values I go through every day. And then you have 4 other values that I take daily values. And this is something I do literally in the shower every day. Like you guys will think I'm crazy, but I go through personal values, right? My personal values, my experiential values, what do I want to experience, right? My giving values and my receiving values, right? What do I want to give to the world and what do I want to receive for it, right? And then the personal is just like health first. Health has to come first, because if you can't live a long life, how do you expect to help others, right? So that's just understanding your values, understanding what do you want to give to the world. Like our podcast, we don't look for it for money. And I guarantee you, if we ever got a deal from Spotify, like we would just try to give that money away. I'm not kidding. Like we don't look to the podcast to make money. Like if we got $100 million deal, we would find out how to give that away.
I don't think I've made one dime off of this. I've probably gone negative for buying too much things that will make this happen.
That's how it happens. But look, it allows you to do this for other people that listen on this. What if it's that younger kid that's been looking for the inspiration, or that has a few friends that said, oh dude, stop, that's never gonna work, and you just changed their life without even knowing it, right? For amount of times, like we have people in Europe, we have people in the UK that listen to our podcast, and it's kind of insane to think like we have all these people that actually look and support us and talk about how they just listen and they just feel like they're our friends, and it like we're just those millennials, and we're very transparent on, hey, we're in 2 different industries, just entrepreneurs trying to make it. Laugh at our mistakes. Like we don't really care. We're not trying to be something we're not, so it's just that's just how you have to look at it. And that's way off of your question of the calendar and everything, but at the end of the day, the calendar too, it's just, I'll end off with this, is the power of 64. Right. It's how Dave works 64 hours of productivity in a day. Right. He became a millionaire 9 months out of law school, and everyone praised him. Oh, you're so great. You're all this and that. Right. And he's like, what are you talking about? The amount of hours I worked in productivity that I put in, I really worked 10 years in 9 months. He's like, I just worked at 3 times faster than you guys. So your goals are not as far as you think. You can just find out how to make your 10 goals or your 10-year goals happen in 6 months, really. And it just goes by studying, right, the efficiency in your calendar, right? How efficient can you get, right? 4 minutes a day is 24 hours a year. Imagine if you can save an hour a day, right? The math just adds up. So at that point,
put your technology down, people, and get to work.
Exactly.
That's what
those 45 minutes a day scrolling, and I know you guys all have your screen time, so it's probably more than that, right? On TikTok and Instagram, imagine what you could save and add up that time, and you will be surprised, right? So it starts with that, the efficiency, the statistical success of how successful are you in every single endeavor, and that's more so the execution phase of how well are you executing. And then lastly is working twice as many hours. Like, people usually put in about 8 hours a day, and if they're at their jobs, they're maybe putting 4 to 5 hours. The rest of it is kind of like lollygagging, you know, I'm going to go to the restroom twice, and I got 30 minutes left, so like I'm just going to pretend for the, you know.
after 2 o'clock nap time, after lunch.
Yep, exactly. And so when we look at our calendars, we try to schedule at least 16 hours a day of productivity. Like, this still counts as productivity. My morning workout counts as productivity. It's all things that are pushing me towards the things I value, the things I want in my future. In order to be there, you have to start acting like it now. If you want to be a millionaire, you have to act like a millionaire now. All the habits, all the mindset, all the mentality, everything behind it. Start now, and then everything else will eventually begin to evolve. Yeah, so that's my rant on that.
Words of wisdoms right here. And speaking of that, I mean, that's great advice. And great advice comes from people that you trust and that you understand. And we talked about this a little bit before. Getting advice can mean a lot to someone or the complete opposite. Someone can give really bad advice or they can give really good advice. And there's a lot of people in the media that give fake real advice.
Real advice, exactly.
Yeah.
It's fake. It's real. It's coming from them, but it's just not the best.
They're not
advice.
living it. Yeah, they're not living it.
You two have experienced people that have given you guys really bad advice and really good advice. So how do you differ on who to listen to and who not to listen to?
Well, you have to make sure that you're seeking and taking advice from people who are sitting in the space that you want to be in. There's going to be all these guys on social media. They're going to try and sell you a course, and they haven't made $1 million themselves, and they're trying to claim and teach you how to become a millionaire in 20 seconds. Like, how does this course even work, you know?
Yeah. Well, they're making 7 figures off the course. You know, they're not even making it outside of that.
So make sure you're learning from someone who's sitting in the space that you want to be in. For me, it was real estate. So I went to the top of the food chain, found the #1 realtor for the last 2 years in the company, and I found a way to attract him into my life by bringing intention and attention to get him into my life. So that's kind of the short take on that, is just make sure you're listening to someone who's sitting in the space that you want to be in.
And for me, I can revert back to Dave again. He was like, I have never had a mentor in my life. Like, I worked with a lot of influencers and entertainers that seemed successful, but after spending a day with them, you'd realize, damn, like, dude, you got some work to do, man. Like, I wouldn't trade my life for theirs.
Right.
You know? And Dave was the first person that I met, really, that I was like, man, this guy has success in all areas of his life. Not just financially, but mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally. Like, this guy is the happiest guy alive. Like, you know, and that was just something that resonated with me. Like, I see a different, like, that's success to me. Not like, because someone let's say someone that has the same or more amount of money than Dave, like, it doesn't make them happier. It doesn't make them more successful, like, in my eyes. Like, success to me is what is your potential in all areas of your life, and how close to your potential are you, your truest potential, right? Because at the end of the day, it could sound woo or anything, but the science is of vibrations, right? The slowest, starting with the earth, then plants, then animals, then human, then sound, then light, then thought. Thought vibrates the fastest, and the fastest thought is the truth, and this is scientifically proven. You can see they have machines that can actually trace your brain waves, right? So the truth vibrates the fastest. So when you sit in your truth, when I can come on here and say, no, we literally live our lives for this, right? And we indulge and we work our hardest, we put everything into this, I can say that with confidence, and it comes out at the highest vibration, and it resonates with the most amount of people because it's the truth, right? And at that point, you know, there's nothing you can say about that. It moves people, it resonates with people. And so the people that are out there trying to say this and that, or you can have financial success, right, without being happy. You know, you can have financial success without being good on your habits. You can be obese and financially successful, right? Like, there's just no, like, success to me is in all areas of your life, right?
And just because someone loves you doesn't mean they'll give you good advice. I've had parents, I've had uncles, I've
yeah.
had everyone around me
yeah.
trying to tell me all these great things of how I should manage my money, how I should do something in business, but they're not even living it.
Yeah.
But they love me and they care for me and they want
Yeah.
the best for me. But
and that's where you have to take that advice is. And when, like, even when I left Dave and went to Ed's company, when I first told my mom, she was like, no. She's like, don't do it. And it was just because she saw the growth that happened within me through Dave, and she thought because I was leaving that was going to stop. So in her mind, she was voting for what she thought was best for me.
Right.
She didn't want to see me fall on my face. Of course, she's my mom, right? So it's a matter of just because they love you doesn't mean they give it good advice. I'm not going to go to my mom and ask her about business, right? If I want to learn how to deal with a stubborn ass kid, like I'll go to her like when I need parenting advice, right? Like, how did you deal with me? You know, like, so it's just find out the advice that you're getting. Like, what advice are you getting from people, and what do they have in their background that makes them, worthy of giving that advice, right? You're not going to go to someone who's very emotionally unstable and say, hey, how do you have happiness, right? Like, no, it's a matter of understanding what your definition of success is and what's your definition of what you want your life to look like, and figuring out who has that, who truly has that.
Yep.
And you're going to find out by just listening to different people, asking different questions, and literally don't be afraid to ask for help. Send a DM. Like, how I got linked up with David Meltzer is I was sending 30 DMs a day, right? 30 DM. I have a tattoo on my arm that says "Make your own luck." I literally made my own luck there. People used to be like, "Oh my God, you're so lucky. You work for Dave." Blah blah blah. They didn't see the thousands of DMs that I sent to entrepreneurs every single day.
30 a day.
I
30
DM'd Jake.
Yeah.
Thanks, Jake. I DM'd you and you.
Shout out Jake Flesher, and that's my guy.
Jake.
Literally.
That's what I got. And I DM'd him and I said, well, what do you do? I said, I want to learn from you. You're offering help. And he's like, dude, I think you'd be great at David Meltzer. You're in this industry in a different way.
Exactly.
I think you'll learn a lot. And then this guy became my boss.
That's how we met. That's why we're here today, because you have to be able to ask for help and be able to lower and show humility to, like, hey, dude, you got to show humility. Like, what do you do? I want to know, right? And where people are like try to come in like, yo, bro, what's good? Like, oh yeah, like it's just you have to be humble enough
Leave
to ask
your ego
for
at
help.
the door. Yeah.
Right.
I have, a ton of mentors. I also have a ton of great people that give me great advice.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But in terms of, I say the best advice to give certain people, because all three of us, we do 5 different things. Yes,
Absolutely.
what our main core of like what we do, that's like what we do every single day. But like for me, like I do music. I do this podcast. I have a business. I'm not going to go to the same person, the same mentor every single day. I do sports production.
Yeah.
Jerry, who has been on the show before, he's all my advice and all my mentor to sports production. I don't know anything without him. He's taught me everything. I'm humbled about that.
Yeah.
I got Valerie Geller, who's a broadcast consultant, one of the best in the world.
Wow.
That's how all of this is coming. I'm getting better at interviewing and getting better at producing my shows and doing what's fun and what's not fun. And every single show, it's getting a little bit better, which is fun. I'm not perfect.
Yeah.
But all this advice is coming from people that care about me.
Yep.
And in terms of relationships, I think the best advice is people that actually put the time in. You don't have to pay for advice.
No.
If you have that relationship and you show that you want to learn and inspire to be like them, they're going to help you. And I think that's the best advice, is going to those people and asking for help. David said, on the weekends, call me at any time.
Literally.
As much as it's the scariest thing to call David because you don't know what he's going to say. But
oh man, each time, bro, I'd still be shaking.
during the week, the guy is like from 4 a.m. to like 9 p.m. he's booked. But on the weekends, call me at any time. He can be with his family and you'd be like, I don't want to bother him. Call him.
Yeah.
Why? Because that's his time to give advice and to help you for 5 minutes, 10 minutes. And you just got to get over the fear of not asking for advice. You just need to pull the trigger and shoot 100 of the shots.
Yeah.
Literally. And it's a little bit of that worthiness thing, right? Of being worthy first time. Like, oh, I don't want to bug you and this and that. When he told you, hey, call me this weekend, and I would still call him and be like, hey, sorry, I don't want to bug you. Is this a bad time? Like, I would still come in with that. So it was still hard, but
how to get a job?
Right?
Email the HR person 100 times.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're going to get annoyed by you, but it shows that you care.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
If you get a kid that has a perfect resume and a kid that's emailed you, not with a perfect resume, but it's emailed you 100 times, who wants it more?
Exactly.
Obvious.
And who's going to do more work when they come in?
Exactly.
He's going to be more grateful for that. He's going to be the one that says, oh my God, this is a great opportunity. When the other guy is like, what the hell is this guy talking about? Gratitude and empathy. Like, what the heck? I thought I was learning about sports marketing, bro.
Yeah.
Right.
You know? So it's just, he focuses heavily on finding the people who align with the values and culture of his company. So I respected that, and I try to mimic that in my company now.
Ooh. Thanks to Dave, all of us, and thanks to the people you've been around too.
Yeah.
We're all being successful. And speaking of that, the last question I always ask every single one of my guests, as my viewers and fans already know, flashback to your 10-year-old self. You guys can both take your part in saying this.
Yeah.
Flashback to your 10-year-old self, 15-year-old self. And you can say from right now, from where you're being successful, what advice would you give your 10 to 15-year-old self? Would you do the same routine as you guys have done through your whole life so far? Or would you change it? What advice would you give?
Invest in Bitcoin. No. Fall in love with reading, fall in love with people, and it's okay to be a hypocrite. Life's gonna knock you left, right, center, but continue to lean into faith and understand that where you are right now, make sure you practice law of gravity, happy where you are, understand where you are, be happy where you are, angle towards what you want, and then have faith that you'll end up somewhere better. If I understood that and live a life of no ego, oh my gosh, I would have saved so many headaches. I would have been farther ahead. I would have attracted more people into my life.
Yeah.
You're literally attracting everything that you don't want. What you resist will persist. I attracted so many things I didn't want because of the person I was. My ego flares. I have egoitis. Literally, I have the inflammation of my ego all the time, and I get offended. I feel the need to be superior, separate, like all that jazz.
And fear.
All of it. Yeah. So if I were to tell myself at 10 years old is drop your ego, and understand that you're gonna make it no matter what if you lean into faith. And faith is number one for me. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Beautiful. I think for me, I mean, that's a good question. What do I tell my 10-year-old self? I think I wouldn't change anything because, everything that's happened in my life has led me to where I am today and the people I'm around today. So
Let's say little cousin. Your little cousin.
I would.
And you're that big mentor to him that says, I'm going to give you the right way to success at a young age than I got when I was 23 years old.
I think I would teach him how to understand human nature. I think too many young people and even older, like even the boomer age, like I don't think enough people understand their emotions. I don't think enough people understand their thoughts, because you are neither of those. Like, you're not your emotions, you're not your thoughts, you're the awareness to that. So living an active versus reactive life and understanding why you feel off or why you feel a certain way or why certain things hurt and how to process it and understand what's going on in my mind, right? Like, if you can do that at such an early age and understand your own ego and how it battles against you, you'll save so much time and energy that you didn't have to waste. So if I had to say, I would tell him to understand human nature and learn about human nature. That's the thing.
Beautiful.
I think that's where I'd leave that.
That's beautiful. Well, we're at that time in the show where the fun questions start coming out and we get kind of less serious.
There we go.
And let's see if we can come up with some fun ones right now. Hey, biggest embarrassment working with the biggest people in the world, David Meltzer and all these people you guys worked with. What is the biggest embarrassment that happened?
It didn't happen with Dave. It happened at one of my first jobs when I was 18. I worked for a company that it was an exotic car dealership. Okay, so I used to work in the showroom, like a little bit in sales, like they were kind of training me, but I was 18 at the time. And I don't know how they would let me drive millions of dollars worth of cars every day. Like, it was Ferraris, Lamborghinis, Bentleys, Rolls Royce, Aston Martin, everything.
Great way to crash.
Right? So that's literally like, I got fired from that job I was backing out at lunch, I think. And I was like just backing up and I was rolling and all I feel is boom. And I was just like, my heart dropped. I was like, I couldn't even see the car behind me because it was so low.
What car was it?
It was
what were you in?
I was in an Aston Martin and it was a Lotus, I think.
Oh.
It was so low behind me and the service guy was pulling in behind me and I was leaving for lunch. And I just backed up and I hit and I didn't even know what I hit, so I didn't even pull forward. So I get out of the car, and I'm still like in the car and I'm like, oh shit. Like I get back in the car and I pull forward, right, and I freak out. Like we take it over to the service. I'm like, okay guys, fix it. Like I was literally leaving to go pick up lunch for everyone too, so it was like not at the right time. I ended up going to down the street to go like pick up everyone's lunch anyways. I was like, we'll figure this out when I get back, just don't say anything yet, right? I get a call from the owner and I'm like, oh crap, here we go. Like,
Was he cussing you out?
oh man, he was heated. He ended up sending me home that day, firing me the next day, like totally.
Ooh.
Like it was embarrassing. Like I thought like I was like, oh, I have it made here. Like I thought at that time I was like 6 figures like made here. I'm good. I'm good for life, you know? So that was probably one of the most embarrassing because I was so out there about it, like 18 and driving all these exotic cars. You're like, hey, look, I got it made.
I think the owner did a bad job. I think you should teach someone what happened in that moment. Hey, this is how you back up these cars, or look before you drive. Like if you did it twice, I understand, but first time, I mean, you're driving exotic cars. What do you expect? Like,
you let 18-year-olds get behind the wheel of $1 million cars. I mean, you can't not expect that. But like I said, it's led me to where I am today, and it started me with getting around successful people. So, you know, I look at it as a blessing nowadays.
For me, so this is the filter version of the story. So I literally had clients ready to show. And this was somewhere about an hour away. And these clients drove about an hour and a half away to meet me at a showing. I literally had a long night out, and I wake up that next morning, and it's about the time of the appointment. I think it was like at 10 o'clock, and they call me like 9:40. Hey, we're about 10 minutes away from the showing. I'll see you there. And I wake up. I'm like looking at my phone. I'm like, no way. There's no way I forgot about these people. Second of all, I didn't set up the appointments. And then that's when I literally had to learn the lesson over and over again with being a student of your calendar. That's when the pain hit me so hard where
they're like, we're done with you.
Those clients fired me. I'm going to call your broker. You're not going to hear the end of it. You made me drive an hour and a half away. That's so unprofessional. My heart sunk to my stomach, and I was just felt so sick. And ever since then, I don't think I've ever missed another client appointment. So
that's good.
Yeah. So that was probably the most embarrassing thing, was having a long night out and forgetting that I had work the next day.
Yikes.
Where I've been fired, I've been a good sport on that. But I would say mine, which I told you guys earlier, Club Dub. Jerry's gonna hate me for saying this, but
Club Dub.
Jerry Weinstein, who just won an Emmy yesterday. Congrats to you, buddy, for Kobe Bryant's game and the game versus Portland. Won 2 Emmys, 3 or whatever it was. He's a humongous Rush fan. Big time Rush, not the big time Rush of Disney and
I
other
thought
Rush.
that's what that was.
And this is like Rush, like
The
80s
band.
Rush or 70s.
Gotcha.
I don't know what I still don't even know. Rush.
Oh my
Rush,
God,
Rush,
bro. I gotta show you that.
Rush on like Jack FM. He's gonna hate me for saying this.
Jack
And
FM.
it was the first day I showed up to work in the truck. We're doing a Sparks game at Staples Center. I walk in. We got our producer Mark Shaw, who's the producer of the Lakers right now.
Yeah.
We got Jerry, who is the director of the Lakers right now, rolling as our director.
Okay.
We got Naveed in there, who's our side producer. And I walk in. I'm the first day. Of course, they're gonna give me a hard time. And they look at me like, "Hey, Michael, you know Rush? Are you? Do you know who Rush is?" I'm like, "Rush what?" They're like, "Rush." I'm like, "Rush? Are we rushing something? Like, do I need to go get something? Are we in a rush?" And he's like, "Rush." I said, "Rush? What is Rush?"
You're like, what fraternity?
And I was like, I don't know who's Rush. They're like, are you kidding me? Everyone in the truck just started freaking out. And they're like, oh no. Jerry, meanwhile, didn't show up for like an hour later. They're like, the second Jerry gets here, we tell him that you know who Rush is, he's gonna absolutely punt you out of this truck. I'm trying to do, first day on the job, you're gonna follow the leader. Now everyone in the truck hates me for not knowing Rush. I'm like, I don't know who Rush is. He gets in and they say, Jerry, you need to fire Michael. He's like, why? He's like, he doesn't know who Rush is. He looks at me, he's like, get out of my truck right now. I'm like, he's like, I'm joking, but how the hell do you not know Rush? He's like, are you serious? You've been to my house, you see all the Rush stuff, all like the little Beetle, whatever the heck it is. Yeah. I'm like, I don't know who Rush is. You know who Odessa is? You know who Petit Biscuit is? No, like I wasn't alive yet.
Oh yeah.
So that was my embarrassing moment.
All the listeners don't know who Rush is either.
Yeah, you guys probably don't know who Rush is.
I'm the only one on this show. If you guys know Rush, like right here, I grew up with old school rock, so I guess that's my leverage point there. But
sorry to the Rush people if you guys see this. I know who you guys are now. Your music is great, but
don't worry, guys. I'm standing up for you.
But speaking to our last fun question, what about the most annoying and best phone provider? I have Verizon. What do you have? T-Mobile?
Okay, yeah.
Give me one reason why I should get your carrier, or why should I not? Because all of them seem to have crap in every single way.
Yeah.
Okay. I have T-Mobile, but they are not the best. Like, the only time I come up as a superstar is when everyone else doesn't have service. For some reason, I do. Like, I have shitty service for like 70% of the time, and that, 20-30% of the time that nobody else does, I have great service for some weird reason. But I gotta say Verizon, dude. I just have.
Yeah.
I've never even had it, but I just know.
I think everyone knows Verizon is the best. I personally have AT&T. I don't know why we switched, but I think Verizon is the best, and AT&T works, but there's so many spots where my calls will drop, or my text won't go through, and I have bars. I'm like, why does my service say it's on, but there's nothing's going through? Like, but yeah, so Verizon number one, and then I personally have AT&T.
I would say Verizon is number one, but talking about commercials, I think the AT&T girl, or is it a guy, girl? The AT&T commercials are actually pretty good.
Okay.
Oh, I'm thinking of Progressive. Yep. Progressive. Wrong one.
Flo? My girl Flo?
Dude, Flo.
Yo, Flo, hey, personal branding on a freaking company right there. That's the way to do it.
And then Jake from State Farm?
And then
Come on.
Invesco QQQ. Can't get rid of that one in March Madness.
Oh,
Woo.
Yeah.
My friend Ryan from Invesco QQQ. That's his name. That's his new name.
boom. Ryan from QQQ.
Yep.
Shout out Ryan.
We all have like different names. Like my friend John, his last name's Cini, so we call him John Cena. I used to work at Tilly's a long time ago, so like Michael from Tilly's. And then my friend Ryan he's just a funny kid. He's a big Seinfeld guy. I'm like, dude, you'd fit in Ryan from Invesco QQQ. He's like, what is that? I said, March Madness. It's like the commercial that came on every single day. I don't know what it is. It's annoying. It kept popping up, and you're that guy, Ryan from Invesco QQQ. It just stuck on.
It just stuck.
Love it.
But anyways, this was another episode of Mic'd for Success. Pleasure having you both on.
Dude, honor.
Pleasure is ours. Thank you.
This was super fun. A very different podcast than I typically have because 3 people. I've never had 3 people on except for Jake.
This is my first threesome.
Hey. We'll keep that one
and we're going
outside.
to edit that out. Thank you very much, Jacob.
Hey, some people are into that, so you never know.
There you go.
But
funny.
thanks, you guys, for coming on. If you guys want to shout out your socials for people to know.
Sure.
Yeah, you can go ahead and look me up on Instagram. It's the best place. It has the links for everything you would need from me, but it's at Andrew Zalez. That's AndrewZalez, at Andrew Zalez on Instagram. And all my links to the podcast, you'll find Jacob there as well.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where I post most of my content. And so go ahead and follow me there.
Mine is Jacobian Valdellon. Jacob, then Ian, I-A-N. My last name's Valdellon, Valdellon. You can see all my links there as well. I have a personal website, jacobvaldellon.com. That also has all my ads. Hit me on Instagram.
Boom.
And mine is Michael Radin and Mic'd for Success. And if you guys haven't done so already, hit the like and subscribe button.
Hit it.
Full podcast will be on YouTube. If you want to listen to it, it's on Spotify, Anchor, Apple Music, and all the other random Google
All the
podcasts,
good stuff.
all the other ones. But this was a pleasure. This was fun. This was very cool.
No, thank you so much for having us, man. I
No
mean,
shit.
it was a pleasure. I'm glad we were able to reschedule and find the time. And, I had a great time here today. And I hope, there's some good takeaways in this. I know Michael's been a good guy since he started this. And, we've always connected since the beginning. So, I appreciate you for having us here today.
If you guys have any help, questions, if it's through real estate, if it's through
Anything.
finance, if it's through entrepreneurship,
Literally, reach
questions
out.
for me. These guys, like I say, with every single one of my friends that come on here,
Yeah.
most humble people. I don't
Yeah.
want non-humble people on the show. So
Yeah.
Beautiful.
reach
We-
out and they will 100% respond, especially these two.
We
Absolutely.
reply to literally
Every
everything.
DM, yep.
So just reach out. Don't be afraid to ask for help there.
And go check out their podcast, guys.
Boom.
Raw Talks.
Raw Talks.
Raw Talks and Mic'd for Success, tuning out.
Later.
Peace.